Hey everybody, Mrs. Bianchi here. We're looking at questions 5A and 5B. Jody's class is creating a mosaic art project. She has 77 red tile pieces and 49 green tile pieces. She wants to place tile pieces in plastic bags for the students to use. Each bag will contain the same number of tiles and contain only one color. If she places the greatest number of tiles in each bag, how many bags will contain red tiles? And this one is saying same thing, but how many bags will contain green tiles? Now, when you have multiple questions being asked and you see the words greatest number of and same number of, then that's when you kind of want to jump into, we're going to be using distributive property mode. So we see the same number of and then greatest number of. So we need to find the GCF of 77 and 49. When you find the GCF of two numbers, we have been using prime factorization. If we start with making our factor trees for 77 and 49, the recommendation is to put what you believe to be the suspected GCF in both trees. So let's say we think the GCF is 7, put it in both trees, and then ask yourself, what are the other numbers? So over here would be 11, and that would be done because these are both prime. And over here it would be 7. Now, when we find the GCF of a set of numbers, recall that we've been using a Venn diagram to organize our thinking. So this circle would represent the prime factorization for 77. And if I clone this circle on the right would represent the prime factorization for 49. And the numbers they have in common, which in this case would be a 7, would go in the middle. So 7 is the GCF. Now, when we use that with distributive property, we always put the GCF first, but 7 what? Because there's a lot of labels here. There's the label of bags, there's the label of tiles. So what is it? Well, I always recommend looking back to the words greatest number of and seeing what follows it. So what follows it is tiles in each bag or tiles per bag. So 7 tiles per bag is how we should think of that. All right, so now how are we thinking of the numbers that we're going to be putting here and here? So remember, we're talking about colors. So we have red tile pieces and green tile pieces. So we have red and we have green. But red and green what? Now, I always like to look at what I have here, tiles in each bag. It's tiles per bag. So usually the word that's after is the word that you want to use with these numbers. So we're going to have a bunch of bags that have red in it, and we're going to have a bunch of bags that have green in it. All right, so now that we have everything appropriately labeled, now let's go back and figure out what the missing values are. So what do we ask ourselves to get that? We say to ourselves, remember we have the 77 red tile pieces. So 7 times what equals 77? And the answer to that, of course, would be 11. We'll put 11 on the line. And then we have to ask ourselves, 7 times what would give us the 49 green tiles that we started out with? And of course, we already knew that that would be 7. All right, now we're not done because we have to read the questions carefully. So the first question says, how many bags will contain red tiles? Well, look at our scaffolding here, and what did we come up with? Here's our red bags of tiles right here. So that's going to be our answer for part A. And if we look at part B, what are they asking? How many bags will contain green tiles? And what did we put? Now, if it asked for the GCF, then we'd be saying 7 tiles in each bag, but they wanted to know how many were green. Now, if they didn't ask this, but if they asked how many bags do we need altogether, then we would add these two numbers together and get 18. Now, fortunately, they didn't ask that, but part 5C could have been that. So always label everything carefully. That way you're more likely to pick the right number for the right part of the question.